Welcome to the latest Boostability webinar. I am the host, Mike Jensen. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Boostability, and I am being joined today by a special guest, Dennis Yu. He is one of the best marketers out there that I've ever known, and he has been my friend for over 12 years now, I believe. And Dennis has also just written a new book called The Definitive Guide to TikTok Advertising. And he's obviously an accomplished author and is going around to conferences how many years have you been doing this?
A lot.
A lot.
We've seen each other at a lot of places.
Exactly. And so we're just going to have a really good conversation with Dennis to talk about marketing and SEO and even personal branding. And so thank you for joining us, and we'd also probably like to do some giveaways too, possibly.
Yes.
Part of this, maybe you could get a book if you make a comment or ask a question in the chat. So we welcome you to do that. And so, Dennis, welcome to Boostability.
Yeah, good to be here in this new office that's being built out.
Yes.
Now, if you are a small business, especially a local service business, and you want to increase your SEO, what we're going to talk about here today, I think is going to open the light bulb for you, or whatever the analogy is, because you're going to see today how when you do SEO the right way, not this mysterious magical thing that other people sell, and when you build your reputation, get reviews, this kind of stuff, and you're doing social media the right way, and you're doing ads and whatever, they're all actually the same thing. And I was thinking about this when Mike joined Boostability, how Boostability is a perfect partner to be able to execute this on behalf of local businesses. Not because I'm being paid, I'm not an affiliate, I have no money here. In fact, this thing I'm going to sketch out, I think Mike's not even seen before. So we'll see his reaction to this.
I have not.
But I want to show you, as a former search engine engineer, I want to show you my kind of technical view of how SEO works. And in the world of link building, which has got lots of garbage because people buy links and people do all sorts of
They gamify it, right?
Dirty things that are trying to trick Google, which means trying to trick me when I was at the search engine. But I want to show you a legitimate way on how to represent this, okay? So this is called the geovertical grid. Now, let's say that you are and we talk about verticals. So a vertical could be you're a plumber, right? Or you could be a real estate agent. Or you could be like the barbecue restaurant. What was the Hawaiian barbecue one that we went to in Lehigh?
Mobetta's.
Yeah,
Mobetta's.
Awesome. I love meetings like beef.
That's right.
You could be, lawn care. There's any of these sorts of businesses, right? And these are called headings in the yellow page industry, right? You look up a mechanic or veterinarian. There are all these different headings. And then there are all of these different regions or cities. And in the world of marketing, we go by what's called a DMA, a direct marketing area. There's 300 of them. So you have like LA, right? So Los Angeles includes potentially even parts of Orange County and Hollywood, Beverly Hills, and Santa Monica, Manhattan Beach. You could even say, Salt Lake City, but that has Daybreak and Lehigh and maybe down to Orem and Provo and other sorts of surrounding cities, right? Yep. And you could just as easily say Phoenix and Chicago. New York is sort of a special category, but you have all of these geo categories. And what's going on is that, you can imagine this, I'm not going to draw 300 rows here. And then I'm not going to draw 300 different categories here, but you can see, that any particular local business is in one of these intersections. Mm-hmm. So choose one kind of business.
Let's go plumber.
Plumber, all right. So a plumber, and in what city?
Let's do it in Chicago.
So a plumber in Chicago. So the plumber in Chicago is here, and I'll use different colors because they brought in different markers. So what we're trying to do with Google is establish what Google calls EEAT. Mm-hmm. And before, 2 years ago, it used to be called EAT, which was expertise, authority, trust, but they added an extra E. Why did they add this extra E? That E is for experience. Because they saw all the AI generated ChatGPT stuff and people were going crazy. Like Mike and I know some of these guys would build like these websites with 1 million pages generated by the AI on the 50 ways on how to unclog your toilet and who's the best plumber in Richardson, or what's Chicago, Oak Brook, Illinois, which is like McDonald's headquarters. I've got all sorts of random corporate stories I can tell you, but I'm going to get in trouble if I tell you. I posted a story about being with the CMO at McDonald's. We were speaking at a conference and they were getting hate on for, supersize me and like how bad the food was. I take my kids to McDonald's every week, Anyway, so that would be a story in Chicago, right? And so if you're a plumber in Chicago, you're living at this intersection here and you're trying to show Google that if someone has a broken toilet or they're doing leak detection in their foundation in Chicago and the surrounding suburbs, that you should show up. So you have to show that you are credible, EEAT, as a plumber, and you have to show you're credible in Chicago. But how do we establish relevancy? Remember, this is talking about building links, which I'm going to show you ties to relationships and SEO and all this. Well, if you go to a plumbing conference in Denver and you meet all these other plumbers and you're talking about the latest things that are happening in the world of plumbing and the tools that you're using and how you started as a plumber and my dad was a plumber, whatever it is, like there's the plumbers, they tell some dirty jokes. And
it's a dirty job.
Then in Chicago, you have, let's say you're a plumbing company and you do like 3 million a year. So you probably have like 10 vans, right? And you congratulate Frank, who's been with the company for 8 years. And today he went to, Miracle Mile in that area in downtown, right? Navy Pier. And he was fixing the toilets at some other, it's not always toilets, but I love to use toilets with plumbers, right? And so you're constantly showing that you are doing things in different parts of Chicago, and it doesn't have to be with plumbing. It can be, here's the deep dish pizza, right? What's the famous deep dish pizza? Where they put like bubble gum on the wall and all of you got to wait an hour for this place. Anyway, so there's all these things. These plumbers that are in Chicago, they're also friends with real estate agents in Chicago, and I'm sure there's some barbecue in Chicago, and there's other things in Chicago, right? Maybe on the weekend you go ride the Ferris wheel at Navy Pier and go rollerblading. I ran the Chicago Marathon a couple of years ago. That's Chicago, and if I've got lots of signals showing that I'm in Chicago, me, let's say, as the founder of a plumbing company, my team members are talking about what's going on in Chicago. Obama's from Chicago. I don't want to get political, and then I show things with plumbing, then I'm building things that are relevant. Now, if you hire someone on Fiverr or Upwork or whatever, and they'll say, and I kid you not, go to Fiverr and type in like link building or something, and it'll say, for like $5, I'll generate 100 DR60 plus links. Why can't you do that? Why is that garbage? Why can that actually hurt you?
Because the EEAT,
right?
Well,
because when this other person who's an SEO expert goes out and buys links on your behalf, and you're a plumber in Chicago, are any of those links that are coming in from random websites? And I can show you what these random websites are. It'll be like some backpack making company, a factory in Pakistan somewhere, linking to you. And Google's like, why is this company in Pakistan making backpacks, making this fake blog post, linking to a plumber in Chicago? That is instantly, like, I knew that 20 some years ago when we were managing our search results at Yahoo, which the Google people copied us, but you can Google it and find that's absolutely true. They copied the whole way on how to do search, right? They didn't invent that. So what we need to do is show that we are doing things that are relevant. So if you just buy a bunch of random links, and let's say there's a lawn care company in LA, that doesn't have necessarily as much direct relevance to you as a plumber in Chicago. So you only need to show relevance in the geo or in the vertical. So if you're a plumber, and so whatever you are, whatever, you're an interior designer, you're a roofer, whatever it is, do you know other people in that industry? Can you meet them and interview them for a minute or two there? like our buddy Jack Went does with Caleb Williams, and interviewing all the other people in the world. Like he's in the world of life insurance and saving money for your kids and paying less taxes and stock markets and all family trusts, all that. Like, and they're together with all these other people that talk about that one thing. You know other people in your industry, and you talk about all this other stuff. If you guys just share some of these conversations about what's going on in the industry and whatnot, that shows Google that you have a certain level of expertise that only someone who is an industry player can actually do. And someone who is on Fiverr or Upwork, and I'm not slamming, VAs from the Philippines or Pakistan or whatever, but how likely is some random VA who's a certified content, social media, whatever person, able to write an article that would pass muster with someone else who was a plumber?
Odds aren't very good there.
No. Like, oh, how do I tell if my heater needs replacement? Like, and what about this kind of heater versus that kind of heater? And what about, I don't know enough about plumbing because I'm not a plumber. But when plumbers talk to other plumbers and we get a link from another plumber in Los Angeles, because I meet that plumber at some conference in Denver or whatever it is, then that, if I get links from other plumbers and those plumbers already rank on plumbing New York City, plumbing Salt Lake City, if they're ranking on plumbing terms and they link to me and I'm a plumber, how much more relevant is that?
A lot more relevant.
Right?
Yep.
And if there's my favorite Chicago deep dish, and it's nothing to do with plumbers, but it's a Chicago restaurant, and clearly Google can see that that is a Chicago business because the reviews are coming from Chicago, and in their Google Maps and GMB, it's Chicago. And I can check in there, and I interview that founder there, or I write a guest blog post or about how I love D'Angelo's Pizza on the south side of Chicago, right? South Cicero, there's a meat packing place, and they have Wagyu beef tallow. Anyway, I can tell you all about food. But that shows relevance because I'm showing an association with the business that Google already says is Chicago, that Google already says is plumbing. So if you know that it has to be relevant to what you do, or relevant or relevant to your city, one or the other, how then do you go about doing SEO in terms of building links? Because the AI can generate content. We know that.
Yep.
Then what's the right way to do this? Well, guess what? Folks like Boostability already have lots of plumbers. I know people like Roger Wakefield, who's America's #1 plumber. You go to YouTube, type in plumbing, like 4 of the top 10 videos are Roger Wakefield, right? And we are not doing a link exchange, because this is where the SEO people say, oh, Dennis is advocating a link exchange or a PBN. Like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you have the seed of something legit, like even a 1-minute interview together, like you and I, we had barbecue at Mo Betta's. Maybe we'll go there again, in a little bit. And there's proof that Mike Jensen and I were there because we posted it on Facebook that we were eating barbecue, right? And it was a cell phone kind of video. It was noisy, no fancy microphones. But what we were doing is establishing in what's called the knowledge graph that this thing actually occurred. And so if you know these other plumbers, if you know other businesses in your city, and on your cell phone, you capture those moments, could even be just pictures, it could be whatever. Those are the raw ingredients that then someone like a Boostability, or maybe your VA, or maybe your young adult, your son who's unemployed, who's looking for a job, right, can implement for you. And that's the most legitimate way to build reputation in your community, to do SEO. It's also social media. It's all those at the same time.
Sounds logical. It's like a no-brainer, right? Like even in real life, right? That we would do that. But yes.
So that's why you typically need to hire someone else to do that. So we like to say to local businesses, especially service businesses that are selling higher ticket items where there's a license involved, right? Like repairing something, or that you're in charge of the strategy, you're in charge of the relationships, you're in charge of taking care of the customers, getting the ingredients, like, doing good work so it generates a good signal so you get good reviews, right? If you have bad reviews, no SEO company is going to legitimately be able to fix that.
Right.
But if you have the ingredients, which I'm going to show you in a second, then a Boostability or your current digital agency or whatever can then work with those ingredients, okay? So you don't just pay some person $2,000 a month and they're going to do SEO. You just write them a check and hope everything, like that doesn't work. You need to give them ingredients. And if you're working with a company that is claiming to do SEO and you don't give them ingredients and there's not a proper intake process, you know, it has to be like Boostability. I've seen their intake process. Then you got to wonder what you're getting, because they can't, if they don't have ingredients, what can they possibly cook? Right. So I'm going to show you this one thing here, and I'm going to share my screen so you can see it. And this is why stuff on your screen, you always have to be, or in your phone, you have to be super careful. Like I always assume everything's in public, right? So name any city.
Any city in the world?
Yeah, anywhere.
Tokyo.
Tokyo. Okay. So what I'm trying to do, remember back to Google EEAT, is demonstrate I have real experience in that. And I'm super, super particular about this, to the point of like zero, like very, very finicky. I don't even want to slightly, you know, like most people will speed, like if the speed limit's 55, they go 60.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to break the rules slightly, because I know the AI is becoming more, you know, they're cracking down, because the more AI use there is, the harder, because the more garbage there is, and therefore the harder the standards are. So you can see here, I'm in Little Tokyo, right? And here, Tokyo is the word that's being used, but I'm actually in Los Angeles.
Right.
So Google's AI is picking up Tokyo, but I could say something about Tokyo and Japanese food and other ways to tie into Tokyo.
Right.
Name an activity.
Running.
Running. Okay. Mr. Jack's doing a 30-miler in a week or so. So running. So you can see that I ran the Portland Marathon, and it's in Portland. And also I was at Nike's headquarters with my buddy, and we were doing a little bit of running. And I ran the Aspen Marathon. You can see here. No, sorry. This is the Ironman. I did the Ironman like a month ago.
Right.
Skinny Dennis, lost 50 pounds. And you can see it's in Coeur d'Alene here, and it's with Marco. Here's the location. It's on an iPhone 14 Pro Max. And here, if I click on Marco, for example, the AI has already categorized everything where Marco and I have been together, and like here we're at the finish line. I have to lean on him because I'm about to fall over because my legs, you know,
like jelly.
Yeah, like after 20 miles, your muscles start to like, your body uses muscle for food, and so you start eating yourself. And you can see like we're driving Lamborghinis. We are here 4th of July in Chicago, but look, here we are on the 4th of July last year. And you can see the pin here out in the middle of the ocean, because we're out driving these jet skis, right? And so I've established clear. So think of Google as a judge, right? I'm trying to prove to Judge Google that I actually do the thing that I say I do in the city that I do. And that's the way I define local SEO. Do you have proof that you do the thing in the city that you say you do it?
Right. So
I can clearly say this is Chicago. So I can look at everything in Chicago and see that I eat food in Chicago. Here's my boarding passes on Southwest Airlines out of Midway Airport, right? A16. I always get A16 because I got 6.5 million miles in Southwest. I've flown a lot, right? And you can see that in Chicago, I've clearly done a lot of stuff in Chicago. This is the fat Dennis from like a year ago, right? Look at how fat I was. So there's boarding passes, like, do you see how many of these there are? Like clearly, if I took this and I made an article about, here's something you need to know about flying Southwest going through Chicago, which is one of their hubs, would that be an authoritative article according to Google?
Yeah.
But I could use the AI and say, write an article about, how the pros navigate Midway Airport with Southwest Airlines. And it'll do it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, here's all these tips: arrive early, use the club, like here's the best restaurant. So it wrote this article here. Here's all these 10 tips, right? And because I have status, I get on free, I get bags, I can change my flight. Like, anyway, so it's writing all this stuff. But even though the AI is writing, I mean, it's a pretty good article. Like, pretty good tips. Is there any EEAT? Is there any real evidence in this AI generated article that anybody can write using AI? Is there any real evidence any real ingredients, any real EEAT, that I actually had been in Chicago, that actually know something about Chicago, that I'm actually credible, that there's zero EEAT.
Nope.
So this is what's called synthetic content. Synthetic content is write this one thing from thin air about whatever. You can't, and then I could take this and I could turn to a blog post and I could use all the, Link Whisper and Rank Math and all these SEO tools to link together between all the different sites that I have. And now I'm going to rank on, best travel agent in Chicago or whatever it is, right? And you know what? That has worked for the last 20 years until last March because of Helpful Content Update 1 and Helpful Content Update 2 by Google, which has caused all the rats to flee, right? Millions of sites have gotten hammered. And I don't know a single one that's gotten a re-inclusion request accepted back. Google's been that harsh busting AI. I'm not trying to scare people. These are just the facts, right?
Yeah.
So if I was this plumber in Chicago, and I'm talking about my favorite airports in Chicago, and when I use O'Hare versus when I use Midway, and then I sprinkle in, it's literally this simple. I sprinkle in some of these, like here I am at Google's sales headquarters in Chicago, right? And Facebook, they built a huge sales office in Chicago too. And if it's Chicago from the networks, it's a sales office, okay? You're not talking to, no offense to any of my friends at Google and Facebook, but you can see, like here I'm at Facebook in Chicago, right? And I brought some clients, and this is one of this girl here is in charge of all the agencies. She manages all the agency relationships of the big. You have like these are like the top 20 advertisers on Facebook among agencies. And you can see we clearly have done this. And there's a couple clients we're bringing with us. We're writing on the wall in Chicago. You can see exactly where it is. Some SEO people say, I'd love to see what you think, that this sort of metadata about who's in here and where it is and whatever doesn't count, doesn't affect SEO. What do you think?
I would disagree.
Yeah, I disagree.
It's there.
It's there, and
you have a personal
all the time. Yeah, Google will say, "Oh, we don't use Chrome click data. We don't use that browser data. We don't use data from your Google Analytics to influence the Google ads." And then that DOJ lawsuit where they had to because Apple and them had this fight and they had to reveal how their algorithm works.
Yes.
They had, and then in the last couple months, you guys probably saw that huge data leak.
The Google leaks, yes.
That they actually do use a lot of this data. I know people are going to argue, say, no, but Google says that they don't use the data. Oh, they do use the data. And so what I'm trying to do is of people someone who actually is a plumber in Chicago, they have these real signals. But if we come here and look, if we type in plumber Chicago, we can see there's the local service ads, right?
Yep.
Rescue Rooter or whatever it is. There's another regular ad. There's the regular GMB 3-pack search results. Mike's Plumbing Chicago. Well, he's got it in the name. And then he ranks on all these. Look at this. He's not even that competitive. This guy's he ranks on 578 keywords, Chicago plumber, 2 search features. So he shows up as site links and local pack in addition to the regular search results. Keyword difficulty 33, so that's medium difficulty. And of the 450 people that search per month, we can see he gets 167. So he gets a third of it because he's in position 2, right? And that's kind of normal. So Chicago plumber and plumber Chicago is not the same search, but it also can match on commercial plumber. It can match on any sort of combination nearby. So near me and nearby, that's a local search. So that triggers a local pack, PAA, all these videos. So this guy has actually got videos about his people doing plumbing. So you see all the SERP features there, right? Let's see what, this has got a lot of features. So he's running ads. He's got top and bottom ads, paid site links, which is part of Google Ads, right? Local pack video. So this guy's doing it pretty good, but that's because if we look at his links, see, most people don't realize we can instantly audit people's links. When you hire an SEO company to do all this kind of stuff, you can audit their progress. You don't have to listen to their like, oh, Google takes time and they change their mind. And no, I come in and see, like look, this guy has a link from Chicago interview. It's like low domain authority, but this is, look, #1 cleaning service in Chicago. So this Chicago cleaning company links to the Chicago plumber.
Right.
They're doing exactly what we're talking about. And that's only got a DR11, not the D. Don't argue with me about how DR is and everything. I know it's only one of many metrics. It's a diagnostic metric. Okay, yes, don't argue, but I'm just saying it's just a DRDA is just a general sense of like how much power there is. It's not, doesn't mean everything just because you have a DR60 or 70. But look, 14 best plumber websites, 10 best plumbers in this Wilmette, which is some suburb of Chicago. Emergency plumbing. Okay, look, 24/7 emergency plumbing in Brooklyn, Queens, and New York. So how is that relevant?
Yeah.
It's relevant because it's related to being a plumber, right?
Yeah.
So you see this guy who ranks #2, he's got links from other Chicago businesses, and he's linking to, it's not a direct link exchange. You get busted on that, right? But clearly he's showing relationships, that he's doing things in Chicago, and he's doing things with other plumbers, right? So if we know that's the case, and we're almost done, because we laid the foundation here, what does this mean in terms of what you should do for your SEO?
That's the question.
Well, you have to open up your phone like I showed you, and I've got thousands of video, and I'm not trying to be an influencer and go viral and look at me and look at my Lamborghinis and lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. I did that years ago, not anymore. I have a 2004 Toyota Camry. Okay, so I'm just trying to show Judge Google that I do the thing I say I do. And maybe I equip my crew. So if you're a plumber and you've got other, equip them to take pictures and videos along the way as they collect reviews too, right? And just along the way, like, hey, I'm going to my favorite Starbucks, or my son is in the Little League thing and they're playing soccer, or there's a concert. Like, you're just trying to show the local relevance, and you're interviewing other people. And anyone who ranks, this is the thing that people miss about SEO. Anyone who ranks on the thing you want to rank on, they're not a competitor. I mean, unless they actually live in this box and they're a Chicago plumber, you don't want to talk to them, of course. I mean, you could, because maybe they're residential and you're commercial. But really, anyone else who is a plumber, but not in Chicago, and anyone else in Chicago, except for other plumbers, you can build connections with. And then you do that, and any work you do with boostability is going to be amplified, because boostability will be able to increase the signal. But if you don't establish this initial signal, you're not giving the chef, he's got a great boostability search. He said, you always got to wear your stuff, right? When you're on the webinars. See, now I'm going to go one level deeper. So you understand that if you are a, Portland pest control or city name, if you're watching this and you are in a particular city and you provide a particular service, this is exactly what you need to do. Now I'm going to show you this one other thing. Okay. Now, Google has this view of, this is Mike, and this is Dennis, and here's Jack. Okay. These are 3 people in the knowledge graph. So the knowledge graph is a big database. That's the way Google organizes everything. Okay. It's things, and these things are connected. And you and I have eaten barbecue together and been to social media marketing world in San Diego, right? That creates a node. And we're connected because of this social media marketing world conference, right? And because we're connected there, and so the more things we've done together, like I tag you in a photo, that increases the strength of that link, right? It's like this little string, it gets like thicker and thicker, and then,
connects our networks.
Yeah, Jack and I are connected. We're also connected through our buddy Caleb Williams, and Caleb is this super connector. So think of it like I'm the moon and he's like Jupiter, okay? And because he's got so many connections and so many things like that. And Caleb ranks on all these things. He's connected with some big people, not just he's got like 900 episodes on his podcast. It's insane, right? And then Jack ties into Caleb because let's say Jack is a nobody initially, but then he's rolling with Caleb. All the power that Caleb has passes this way, and it passes back to Caleb. That's the same thing we're talking about, this link structure, because if you're associated with this LA plumber and this LA plumber is associated with you, it goes both ways. Even if the link is one way, the relationship is bilateral, right? Remember math, remember geometry, bilateral. Anyway, so
I was told there was not going to be any math on this.
So if I want to be known in the world of life insurance and finance and saving money and investment and all that, and Warren Buffett and this kind of stuff, and I'm Jack and I have no connections here initially, but I'm clearly associated with Caleb, I inherit a lot of, not all of it, but I inherit like, a piece. And the more connections I have with Caleb, the more of it comes my way, right?
Yeah.
And if Mike here, because of all these other Deseret and the church and other companies that you're working at, the experience that you have and our friends and the connections on LinkedIn, and it's not, these are not just people, it's anything. It could be a company, right? This is boostability, right? Mike's associate with boostability. Now I have a couple connections. I met your head of biz dev.
Nick.
Nick, I met Nick last week in Nashville.
Yep.
So there's Nick here, and we're connected here. But we were going to meet, but then I think he was out for some reason or doing something, some vacation or whatever. Yeah, so many conferences. But what we're trying to do is build these connections. So think about, you want to be known as a plumber in Chicago. You're not trying to be the best plumber in LA. You're not trying to be the best plumber in Salt Lake City. You're trying to build these connections. So if you want to drive more link juice to you, and let's say this is Mike's plumbing business. Let's just say you're the Chicago plumber. Well, I can drive relevancy with plumbing related topics or with city topics, which are the main things, but I can also drive trust and general link power in a non-spammy way, because I can take this knowledge I have about plumbing. I can take, and as part of plumbing, I go to plumbing conferences and I'm talking about how to market for a plumber, or how do you hire people and how do you get a license and be a master plumber. And there's like all this kind of stuff that goes on. So from being a plumber, even though there's core things on like, how do you fix a broken toilet? There's all these other things about your why, about your family, because we support family businesses. Maybe that ties in with your church because of your values, because it's all like values driven and who your friends are. And maybe it's a home service business. So you really like Tommy Mello, and Tommy Mello runs the Home Service Millionaire podcast. And so, and then maybe you take all this stuff and you turn it into a book, right? So there's different ways. There's other connections beyond just plumbing. So if you're a plumber and you think you should only talk about plumbing, you're missing the fact that there's all these people make decisions based on other humans and how they behave. So check this out. I have the #1 free ebook website on the internet. Type in free ebooks. I'm #1. I get 500,000 visits from Google a day organically. So the free ebook site ranks on free ebooks. And if you do a free ebook on plumbing, about all the things, and you could use ChatGPT to write it, but you start with the EEAT, like in the Google Drive and the Google Photos, you show like real examples, and then the AI edits from the raw ingredients. You have to give it the raw ingredients, right? Then you publish it on free ebooks, and you have a plumber, the plumber's guide, or how to have, not get ripped off by the plumber, or how, I don't know, whatever it is you want to call. ChatGPT can come up with the title. And so you have a plumbing free ebook. Then topically, it's okay, because I'm not just selling links from this thing like the Sun, right? Pushing to Mike the plumber. Because I legitimately wrote a plumber, an ebook on some aspect of plumbing, on how I started my plumbing business. And, initially I was living in my car and I was broke, and now I'm doing $5 million a year. I don't know what people tell these kinds of stories, right? I'm gonna pass it down to my kids, right? So you write an actual plumbing ebook, which is just a recompilation of all these other items. Now all of a sudden, I have a DR76 link coming in that it does rank on #1 on plumbing ebook. Google sees the traffic, because we run $1 a day against it, to other plumbers, so they can see like, oh, this is actually legit. Brother Mike tells a story about how it's actually helpful content and how he grew his plumbing business. Google sees that because they use all that Chrome data, right? That's been revealed. That's not a secret anymore. And that helps his SEO to help him rank here inside this box.
A question, Dennis.
Yeah.
How does Google the judge perceive companies like Better Wealth, which I'm a part of, that don't necessarily are geolocated to a specific city?
So this GeoGrid is, see, the trouble with like multi-dimensional things is you can only draw on like 2 dimensions here. So yes, there's the geo, there's the vertical, but if we look at Better Wealth, which is financial advisors and even serving financial advisors, so it's like B to B to C, there's multiple dimensions. right? Like the dimension of your why. There's other sorts of topics. So I'll just come here and show you real quick. Let's go back to sharing. This is literally, if anyone wants us to do this audit, it literally takes like a second. So if we go to Better Wealth, okay, this is JackWorks. It's a DR41. Where's the 41 come from? From these 1,600 links. So some links are worth more, some links are not as good. And so there's all the podcasts. NAFA is the #1 industry. So like it's like if you are a financial services insurance person, this is the largest and oldest organization. They do lobbying in Washington, D.C. and all that. So Caleb has spoken here, and this is DR72. Ours is higher. And how did Caleb Goins become the youngest person to run a life insurance unit at a bank? Oh, that's impressive, right? And so that's passing juice.
Right.
And here's all these other ones. Crunchbase, we built that one. There's all these random ones too. But here, let's go look at the best links. And you could use whatever tool. I'm using Ahrefs, but you could use SEMrush or Neil Patel's tool. Or it doesn't. I promise you, it's not the tool. Okay, it's like Nike or Adidas. Like if you suck playing basketball, Nike switching to Adidas, it's not gonna help you. People think like it's the tool. It's not the tool. I promise you. Okay. Now here's all these ones here that are linking. These are pretty good, right? And these are relevant. So look, why is this the best link? So here, there's an article that I wrote. Caleb Williams is the fresh face of an old industry, right? And that's from a DR62 site. Why is this article helping his SEO? Why is it categorized as the best link? Because it's full of EEAT and it's super relevant. This wasn't some AI generated thing. This is showing my connections with Caleb, and he and I have hung out together. I've sprinkled in EEAT. This is Kevin Mayu, who's the CEO of that big organization, NAFA, that they're all a member of. Right. So if you're a life insurance agent, you're going to recognize who Caleb is. You're going to recognize the CEO of that big organization. You're going to see all Garrett Gunderson. I don't want to name drop, but these are all these big people who are part of this industry. So what we've done was we spent $1 a day targeting all of Caleb's fans and other people who are well known in the world of life insurance and sent them to this article, because now Google can see the traffic. So when people who are in life insurance come to this, they recognize this, they see the tips that these people that are well respected in their industry are giving, then
you target their network.
Yeah. So the relevance is super high. Yeah. Right. If I just sent a bunch of traffic from Pakistan, Google's going to see that it wasn't good. Like, these click bots and like, I'm not doing that. Right. So this article helps Caleb, and nowhere am I pushing or selling anything. I'm honoring Caleb. We're talking about all these things about what he's doing to reinvent the world of life insurance, which is like 60-year-old dudes who don't understand social media. Now this guy who's doing podcasts, he's a young adult, he's doing all these things, and he's helping life insurance people grow. He's got a mastermind and all that. So this is not local. This is more relationship driven, right? Yep. So, but relationships here, that's another angle.
Hey, I just want to thank Dennis for coming in today. I've learned a ton. Dennis, maybe you can just talk about maybe a few key takeaways that local businesses can take from what we just talked about today.
In this webinar, you've learned why your existing relationships, what your customers have to say about you, what your team members and staff are doing are actually key to your SEO, and how PR and social media and SEO are actually the same thing when you tie everything together. People look at all the technical stuff with websites and witchcraft and magic, and a lot of vendors out in the space are going to try to confuse you. But when you realize, you know what? If I've got great relationships in my city and I have proof of the thing that I say that I do, because I'm a life insurance agent, I'm a roofer, I'm some kind of local business, I'm a bakery, whatever. If there's proof of me doing the thing that I say that I do, and there's happy customers reflecting that, let's say it gets posted to Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or whatever your favorite thing is, but then it's visible to Google, meaning it's repurposed, like you copy that same picture and video and you post it on Twitter and LinkedIn and whatever, that's called repurposing, and it's visible to Google and people are linking to it, people are liking, sharing, commenting, which are all votes. Everything's a vote. A link's a vote, a like's a vote, a review's a vote. They're all votes with different amount of weights. Then it tells Google, this object, Mike's Plumbing in Chicago, is legitimate and is relevant to anything related to Chicago and anything related to plumbing. So your takeaway is, what is your geo, your city, and the surrounding little neighborhood cities that you serve? What's the thing that you do? And what are the things that are relevant to the thing that you do, right? If you are an interior designer, maybe there's something about your design and your passion and your vibe which influences how you design in a certain way, right? Who is in your network that you can leverage? All of us, this is the thing I've seen from looking at thousands of local businesses. They've got great networks. Maybe these folks are humble. They don't want to be on social media. Their hair isn't very good, all that kind of stuff. They don't want to, they think they need to hire a fancy videographer with a $50,000 camera. No, it's your cell phone. It's short little 15-second videos. I mean, that's what this book is about, 15-second videos. Like one little tip. Like, hey, here's one tip that we use when we're, replacing a roof.
Right.
Or, hey, I'm up on the roof here. There was a hailstone thing, or, there was damage in North Carolina, and here's what we're doing, right? We're fixing this stuff because of the flood.
Right.
You're just showing little stories. All you have to literally do is make that visible to Google, get other people to link to it based on your network. So you guest post on their site and on their social, and vice versa. And that's SEO. SEO, showing relationships, all the real stuff. If you have those raw ingredients, the AI, think of it as like a really smart virtual assistant, can process it for you, can turn it into books. I interviewed the top people in TikTok, turn it into the best-selling book, run ads against it on Amazon to force it to #1, ahead of Gary Vaynerchuk, #1 in social media, right?
Nice.
That's the way to think about this. SEO versus Facebook ads versus LinkedIn, those are not separate channels. You have that one core set of experiences of proof of your relationships. It can be posted, repurposed, copied to multiple places to have what we call a corroborating loop of evidence to Google. So Google sees that's what you do. Other people are saying that's what you do. There's clear reviews that back it up. Jenny, who answers the phone, who schedules your vans to go, Sarah at the front desk. Maybe you're like, an IV therapy company, and Sarah is the one who greets people. Well, while she's not greeting people, she can also do the social media thing that we're talking about here.
Right.
Then you work with boostability. I love the name boostability because you can boost, if you already have the ingredients, meaning you're good at what you do and there's proof of it, an agency can come in and boost that. If you do not have an existing business, if you do not have happy customers, there's no amount of boosting that's going to solve that issue.
Right.
So, Brother Mike, why is this webinar worth people's time? Why should they watch?
They should watch because these are simple concepts that will help you, your business, grow. That's not brain science, right? It's not rocket science. We're giving you simple concepts that will, basically take your business to the heights that you want to do. And that's kind of even what our mission at Boostability is, to make small businesses a success online. That's our job. And, it's not going to come with a magic wand or just tons of money. There's effort that also can happen, and easy things that can be done, even just being a small business that a company like ours can take and amplify and speed up that process.
Amen. And now you understand why reputation made visible is really the key to digital marketing. Social media, ads, all that is really just making your reputation visible to your target customers in your city. And once you understand that, it's very clear on whether you're going to have success with a boostability or someone else. Are you doing good work? And is there clear evidence of this for something to boost? It's that simple. So if you've got a great reputation, if you take good care of your customers, if you do good work, if you take care of your people, if you're in your neighborhood and you're making connections, but they're not visible, consider making it visible. And now all these other things can happen.
Right.
If you want to do that, if that resonates with you, if you see this geo-vertical grid, but maybe there's some technical things you don't understand, then I'd recommend comment below. Make connections with other people. Bring them in. If you don't have a Jack Wendt, find one. a young adult, maybe your son or daughter, maybe someone else who can implement this for you. But either way,
Yep.
someone, this is the thing I noticed with these small businesses. Like, I don't want to show my face. I don't want to,
Yeah.
they're like weird holding the phone like this. Have
Yeah.
someone else do that for you. But either way, however is necessary, capture those moments. So now the
Yeah.
AI or some agency can process it. You just got to capture
And it's
it.
not going to be, you do this a week and you're going to be expecting all these results, right? It's just something you're going to have to get in the habit of doing.
Like 5
And the
minutes
more
a
you
day.
do,
Yeah.
the more you do.
You go to the gym.
Yeah.
You're not trying to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Just
Yeah.
5 minutes a day.
And I've always called it kind of having the social mindset, but it's really kind of marketing mindset,
Yeah.
but it's social mindset is just having that in your thoughts of, wherever you are, what can I be doing, to help my business out, myself out, my family out, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So, hey, I appreciate Dennis today and Jack for coming in. This has been a masterclass in kind of personal branding, networking, and SEO and marketing all in one, because it is all connected. And so comment below if you have some comments or questions, and you will be entered to win some giveaways of Dennis's new book.
Amen.
Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it, guys.
And we will see you at the next one.